Hi, my name is Armand Porter. I'm presenting on JavaScript Object Notation, or JSON. JavaScript Object Notation is a lightweight, simple text format used to share information between the server and your browser. Strings or tables on the server are converted into JavaScript objects and vice versa. In this example, we have a table listing details about a student as it would be stored in SQL. When converted to a JavaScript object, each row is represented by a key value pair consisting of the column heading and data for that column. Thank you.
I'm Robert Varsing, and I'm talking about the PRS Client functionality. The PRS Client was designed to replace and alleviate the issues that were in the handwritten paper-based system for requests. This allows the users to enter and maintain their requests from anywhere as long as they have connection to the server. This removes any chance of misplaced or lost papers that the paper-based system had, and that in turn increases the workflow by minimizing the wait times between the processes of the system. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Manish Shivakodi. I'm a recent graduate from Max as a .NET programmer. Today I'll be talking about Git and GitHub. So Git is a version control system which control everything from small to a very large project with the speed and efficiency. The purpose of Git is to manage a project or a set of files as they store information in a data structure called repository. There are many commands for Git, and these are the few list of the commands that I have used. So Git init. Git init is used to initialize a Git repository for a new or existing project. Git clone. It is used to copy a Git repository from remote source. Also sets the remote to original source that you can pull again. So Git status. What it does is it checks the status of files you have changed in your working directory. And the last not in the list, Git commit. Git commit is a commit your change and it sets in a new commit object for your remote. Now moving to the GitHub. It's a web-based service of version control using Git. So it's basically a social networking site for the developers where it allows multiple developers to work in a single project. Thank you.
Hello, this is Vaughn Cunningham, and my topic is user authentication and authorization. And starting with the user authentication, pretty much what we have this for is to verify the authentication of the user that's going to be using it, whether that's the user that's using it or the actual administrator that's using the website. They have to have authenticity using a username or user ID or and password as well. The reason you want to have one of those is the username is what the user and administrator need to know so they can identify who's actually logging in. And the password is the actual secret code for the actual user. So only the user will know what that password is. And with also getting in, it verifies that they, with using the username and the password, that verifies that the information is actually in the system and it can authorize who that is. Next, going into the user authorization, the administrator who can see everything, which administrator could be the owner, the business owner, or the owner of the entire website, whoever that may be. They can control and do anything they need to make changes, have full access to change anything they need to do. And the user can actually control only what the administrator allows them to use, whether that is changing their own information or changing specific, making edits to their own order that they made for the website. Other than that, that whatever the administrator allows them to use is what the user is able to access on there. Other than that, that is what I have presented. Thanks so much.
Hi, my name is Sarah Bodie, and I will be presenting automated business rules. There are several automated business rules that were applied to our capstone. Many of these business rules are implemented in the SQL database, so they will be enforced 100% of the time, even if different applications access that database. These rules include auto-approving requests. Anything that is $50 or under will automatically be approved when a user goes to request a review. Only users who are reviewers can approve or reject a request. There are fields that require a unique name, such as the vendor code, the username for logging in purposes, and the product code. A number of fields require a value, for example, the password, the vendor address, and the request description. Some fields have a default value. Request total has a default of 0, request status has a default of new, and request line quantity has a default of 1. The final automated business rule is that some tables have fields that can choose from other tables, like choosing a product from a request line. The logged in user is used to tag a new request as to who owns it, and choosing a vendor in product so we know who to purchase the product from. These automated business rules allow for the program to run smoother and for a friendlier user interaction. Thank you.
My name is David Price. The topic of my presentation is the full stack technologies that we utilize here at Max during these past 11 weeks. We demonstrated core competency in these technologies through the creation of the PRS Client system, which you will be seeing in these presentations. GitHub technology is a powerful resource for preserving our work over time that allows us to get back to working copies if something would go wrong in the process. The backbone technologies, backbone database and SQL are strategic assets used by all companies. They allow for the storing of the data, maintaining the integrity of that data, and allowing us to work with that data. The backbone technologies of C# is where most time was spent mastering the tools to harness the back end and to make the stored data come to life in the user interface. C# is a general purpose programming language, meaning that it can do all application types. It is the strategic language of Microsoft, and it is extremely popular and widely used. We utilize Entity Framework, which is a language that helps us to work with the database without knowing extensive knowledge of the SQL language. The HTML hypertext markup language is the first user interface language that we use that actually brings the data to the screen. It's what you see when you open a web browser. Cascading style sheets are what style that data into something that is both user-friendly and interesting to look at. We utilize the bootstrap libraries of CSS that are already built in to style the data even further. JavaScript is the core technology of the web that enables us to make web pages interactive experiences and work backward through the stack. Lastly but not least, we employed Angular, which is a very is a popular JavaScript framework that allows for building interesting web pages quickly. These are the core technologies that we used at Max Bootcamp. They allow us to be full stack ready for our next opportunity. Thank you very much for attending.
Tracy Chan, ThreeTier Architecture. ThreeTier Architecture consists of 3 parts: a front end, a back end, and a data storage. The front end is represented by the blue box and also known as the client or the user interface. This can be written in many different languages, including Angular, HTML, TypeScript, and CSS. This is the user interface where the user will interact and see the screens and what they can do. This can run anywhere that browsers can run, including tablets or a phone. The user can perform tasks such as listing, adding, or deleting items. The information is then collected by the user interface and sent to the backend. The backend is the purple box, and this can be written in many languages, including C#, Java, .NET, or Python. This level coordinates the data with the front end and the data storage. It does the functional business logic, which drives the application's capabilities. It also has the ability to retrieve the information from the data storage and send it back to the user interface. The data storage, or the orangish box, is usually a database, which could be a SQL Server, MySQL, or Oracle. Here, the data is retrieved and stored. This can be shared by multiple people at different times. An example of a three-tier architecture would be Netflix. Their user interface is where the movies are listed, and then the user can select a movie, and that selection is sent to the back end. The back end then can query the database for the movie it wants. Once the database has a movie, it sends it to the back end so that it can be played on the user interface and that the user can then see it. The advantages of three-tier architecture is that it can run, the clients can run in many different places, but yet just access one database. Another advantage is that three-tier architecture is more flexible and easier to update or change. If you just need to change the user interface, you just change that and you're not changing the whole program. Three-tier architecture runs seamlessly for a user. They don't see it happening. It's just way too easy. Thank you.
I'm Ian Deach. I'm going to be going over the requests reviewed by the reviewers and not yourself. When a request is created, the user who created it is tagged in the request. If a user is a reviewer, the user will be able to look at all requests and review status and either accept or deny the request. They will not, however, be able to review their own requests. When reviewing requests, any request created by the reviewing user will be filtered out of the list. Also, if the reviewer decides to deny the request, a reason must be entered and stored in the request so the owner can read why it was rejected and make any changes necessary to correct it and reset it back to review status. If a request has been approved and the owner decides to change any of the request lines, the request status is set to either new or edit and must go through the review process again. Thank you.
I'm George Meyer. My topic is the Purchase Request Database System and Tables. The Purchase Request System, or PRS, is a database. It's designed to create purchase requests. It's comprised of 5 tables. Each one is needed to create functionality to the overall system. The user table creates and stores information about each user and their corresponding privileges. Sally may be a user authorized to review and approve requests, where Bill is only authorized to review them. John can create them, but poor Jim is not even allowed on the system. All this information is stored in this table and used in other tables through relationships or connections. The vendor table creates and shows the information about suppliers: address, contact information, phone number, etc. It ties directly to the product table through a relationship. This table is important because it identifies the vendors that supply the product we're requesting. The product table creates and stores the product permitted to be requested. As mentioned above, each product is tied to a vendor. We can't buy a product without a vendor. A product will have at least one vendor, but there may be several vendors that provide the same product. The request table combines with the request line table to create the object or model of a request. As a visual, in a Word document, the request table would be the header and the footer of the document. The request lines table would represent the body inside that Word document. This also allows for more than one request line to reference vendor and product to be purchased. Without this table, we would be limited to order one product per single request. All these tables culminate into a completed, approved request that will impact your world for the better, or at a minimum, get you the office supplies you needed. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Parker Winters.
And I'm Danae Reese.
And we're going to demonstrate our PRS Capstone product request system. So for this demonstration, I'll be playing the part of a newly promoted employee, and Danae will be playing the part of my manager, who also doubles as the purchase manager / reviewer. I, as the employee, got promoted to a higher position in a different office wing. Because this wing of the building has been recently remodeled, the offices are empty. Being newly promoted, I get to pick out furniture and supplies for my new office using the newly implemented PRS. My login information has already been entered into the system, so I am ready to log in with my username and password.
Parker now creates a new request, which will automatically assign him as the owner. He needs a desk, chair, and a bookcase, which, as you can see, he's noting in his request with the description and justification fields. Now, after the request is created, the products and quantities are now being added. The system already has a finite set of products that can be requested from their selected vendors, and the price for the product is built into the system. Once his products are selected, I tell Parker that the request must be reviewed for approval by either myself or another employee in purchasing. After the request is set to review, it's time for us to go to lunch.
All right, so Danae, as the purchasing manager / reviewer, routinely reviews pending requests. So after logging in, they go to the Review tab at the top to review my request. After clicking Review, they see that I mistakenly ordered a senior level manager's chair, which is not permitted. So they reject the request with an appropriate rejection reason. You can type your rejection reason into the box and hit the reject button. And that's that.
We both come back from lunch, and once Parker logs in to check on his request, he sees that it has been rejected because of the chair price. When he comes to me, I tell him to select a less costly chair, and he will set the request to review status again. So he goes to the chair on the request, clicks edit, and he can change it to an appropriate one. After he saves his changes, and clicks ready for review again, he will be off to enjoy a nice glass of Diet Cran grape juice.
So after logging in again, Danae sees the request has been set to review again. Going into the review details, they can see that the request includes a change in the chair type, which is more in line with what I am permitted to order in my new position. So they approve the request.
Parker returns from his juice and see that the request has now been approved. Meanwhile, I realize that he will need some more things for around the office. And I explained to him that a request totaling less than $50 will automatically be approved. So once he has started his new request and he adds his pens, paper, and folders, and asks for review again, Ooh, recycled. Then all that's left for him to do is click Save Changes, ask for a review. It's automatically approved, and he just has to wait for his products. Thank you so much for watching our demonstration today. I hope it was clear and that you could follow along appropriately, and I hope that you enjoyed it a little.